play, they're going to play by my rules.
It's time for him to be all in or all out.
He asked for it, he got it. The Raiders have released Antonio Brown.
The 31-year-old wide receiver is signed with the Patriots.
11 days and just 21 snaps. The New England Patriots have cut Antonio Brown.
3 teams have given up on him. 3 teams. And now that legacy is ruined.
Antonio Brown worked out for the New Orleans Saints yesterday. Signing him still to be determined. Brown has been out of the NFL since the Patriots cut him in September amid multiple sexual misconduct allegations which have spawned an ongoing league investigation. Mike Triplett has more on Brown's visit with the Saints yesterday.
The timing is the most curious part of New Orleans' visit with Antonio Brown, since Sean Payton even acknowledged that he isn't sure if Brown would be eligible to join the Saints on a playoff run. But their need for another top target to pair with Michael Thomas is obvious. Thomas has 116 more catches than any other wide receiver on the team. And Payton and players also insisted that they've built the right kind of culture in their locker room to absorb adding a big persona like Brown. It's why they also added guys like Janoris Jenkins last week and Des Bryant, Brandon Marshall, and Adrian Peterson in recent years. Veteran linebacker Demario Davis said, "Our front office knows what it's doing. We've got great leadership, chemistry, brotherhood, and if they bring him in, he'll add to that locker room dynamic."
Mike Triplett, thank you. Michael Thomas has been a one-man show for the Saints. He has over 1,000 more receiving yards and 3 more touchdowns than the rest of the New Orleans wide receivers combined. Not to mention his 145 receptions are an NFL single-season record. Well, the guy who throws to Michael Thomas is a surefire Hall of Famer, but Drew Brees is not on the list of the NFL's top 10 QBs as determined as part of the celebration of the NFL 100 all-time team. And here is a look at the list of the top 10 quarterbacks on the NFL 100 all-time team. The list doesn't rank the players in any particular order. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Johnny Unitas, and Otto Graham were all unanimous selections.
Jay, just 1 day away from the final slate of regular season games in the NFL. We'll start with the Eagles. They can win the NFC East on Sunday with a victory over the Giants or a Cowboys loss to the Redskins. James Conner has been ruled out in the Steelers' must-win game against the Ravens. The Pittsburgh back has only played in 4 of their last 9 games. And, of course, we're keeping an eye on the return of beast mode against the Niners. As our Mark Schwartz tells us, Marshawn Lynch and the Seahawks together again at this moment is exactly what they need.
Desperate times call for beastly measures. Seattle has lost 3 running backs to season-ending injuries over the past 3 weeks. And now, in their most critical game all season, Pete Carroll turns to Marshawn Lynch, the man who embodies Carroll's football philosophy more than any other.
He's as physical a player as I've ever been around, as great a competitor as I've ever been around. When you get to add somebody like that, to your team, it only helps and enhances kind of the mentality that we already cherish anyways.
Finds a little bit of a hole, keeps his legs moving, he's across the 40, midfield, he's gonna go, he is gonna go, touchdown Seahawks! Beast mode, you are spectacular.
He's been working, he looks great, he looks explosive, looks fast, he looks strong, quick as ever.
We'll find out how he can play and how he does. He's been a little while off, but he looks great. In the first couple looks at him, as far as his conditioning and all of that, his weight's down.
Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner says expectations for a man who has not carried the football in 14 months have to be realistic. Jadeveon Clowney says he's been watching Lynch in practice and he looks good. He's always wanted to be on Lynch's team. He seemed almost awestruck, describing him as a highlight reel just waiting to happen.
Marshawn's definitely one of those guys who's, no matter what, he's given everything, every play, every moment is going to bring that, and you're going to feel that, in the locker room. You're going to feel that, when he's in the huddle. So it's great to have him back, obviously, and bring that juice, bring that energy, bring that focus and tenacity.
Clowney says that juice Lynch brings has been the boost this team needs right now after their most disheartening loss of the season last week against Arizona at home. Lynch says he's back to complete some unfinished business. His teammates seem confident he's still all about that action, boss.
You want to take the next thing?
No, you got it.
All right, let's go to the NFL regular season finale Sunday. This game means everything for the 8-7 Titans, who are looking to be back in the playoffs for the second time in 3 years. The game plan for Tennessee? Simple. Beat the Texans or most likely go home. Rob Ninkovich, your thoughts on this?
Does Tennessee have enough to make this push here and get into the playoffs? I think they do, and I'll explain why. They have Henry in the running game, who is a beast. He can control the game, he can run hard, and when you have a guy running the football, I know as a defender, it can take the soul out of the defense. So Tennessee, with that running game, you have Ryan Tannehill, who is a very good clock manager. He can make all the throws from the pocket. So when you combine the running game with the ability to throw the football down the field, and you got Deion Lewis too, throwing the screens, mixing the screen there, and your ability to get after opposing quarterbacks with scheme. And Mike Vrabel knows how to run a defense, knows how to get after quarterbacks with defensive scheme. So that's why I think that the Tennessee Titans can make a push here, and they can win this game against the Texans and get into the playoffs.
Ravens have already clinched the top seed in the AFC playoffs, so Lamar Jackson and several other key starters will not play tomorrow when Baltimore hosts Pittsburgh. The Steelers are battling for their playoff lives. A win and the Titans loss, and they are in. Damien Woody, who you got?
With the Baltimore Ravens already locking up the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers can go into Baltimore and get this victory. The Baltimore Ravens are sitting a lot of key starters resting up for the postseason. So we know the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be motivated to try to get the last playoff spot in the AFC. With that defense that they have with the Pittsburgh Steelers, all Duck Hodges has to do is manage the football game. So I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can go into Baltimore and get this victory.
Well, the Steelers, again, need a win and a Titans loss to make the postseason. But ESPN's Football Power Index is heavily favoring the RG3-led Ravens in this one. For more on this matchup,
Week 17 always presents a tricky handicapping approach. In this case, Lamar Jackson not playing for the Ravens, who are small home underdogs to the Steelers. Joe Fortenbaugh with me. What do you got in this one?
I'm going to go under the total of 37 here, Doug. I know the Ravens are sitting a lot of players, but do we really trust Pittsburgh's offense to get anything going in this situation whatsoever? In their last 7 games, they've topped 20 points just one time. However, they do have one of the best defenses in the business when it comes to scoring defense, when it comes to opponent yards per play and everything else, and they're still playing for a potential playoff spot against none other than Robert Griffin III. I don't see a whole lot of offensive action in this game. Give me the under 37 total points.
I'm with you along certain lines here. I don't expect much from Pittsburgh, and Duck Hodges has certainly shown some ineptitude the last couple of weeks. I think this Ravens team, with John Harbaugh at the helm, yes, no Lamar Jackson, but that's not an on-off switch. They want to.
Stadium in the form of Wake Forest punter DiMaggio. Here's how Maggio's entrance would have sounded at Yankee Stadium.
Number 8, Maggio. Number 8.
All right. So we have to get to the game, right?
Yeah.
All right. Maggio back to punt for Wake Forest. And here's how it, well, just check out how it sounds.
Maggio smashes a long drive just inside of the foul pole. Holy cow!
Punt goes to the end zone for the touchback, and DiMaggio is frustrated. Maggio back to punt again. Oh, that's a nice one. It's going to be fair caught at the 11. And you know who likes it? Oh, Yankee fans. Leaves that kick. Maggio back to punt. Early second quarter, another kick inside the 20. DiMaggio finishing his punting career at Wake Forest with a .371 average inside the 20. DiMaggio finishing his career with a .325 batting average. The similarities running deep between Maggio and DiMaggio.
So glad you did that. Time for your top 10 plays. I'll start with number 10 and the Northrop Grumman Military Bowl. North Carolina taking on Temple. Sam Howell airing it downfield to Brown for the touchdown catch. Great snag by Brown. We have more from this game.
You know, there was other stuff from the New Era Pinstripe Bowl, Wake Forest, Michigan State. Jamie Newman's pass getting deflected and picked up by Michigan State's defensive tackle, Mike Panashuk, who runs it in for the touchdown. There it is. Jacob.
Brother to brother.
With the deflection. Mike with the grab and run. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Brotherly love, sharing. More from this game in a second.
He said he'd buy him a pizza after the game for that, Tim. All right, at number 8, The Military Bowl, North Carolina and Temple. Sam Howell finding Daz Newsome for the touchdown. Newsome getting the right foot in while having control of the ball.